Welcome to Q&A for the day. Today's question is based on something that I explained in a previous Q&A session. And that was, when a person dies, we said the soul leaves the body and goes on an elaborate journey. Part of that journey was going to some type of tribunal or court case where the actions of that soul are examined. It was in this place called the Olam Haimet, the world of truth, where there was no ducking or diving or excuses. It was exactly what occurred and what did not occur. Now the question today is, do we know what questions this tribunal might ask of this soul? So amazingly, the Talmud in the Tractate of Shabbat provides insights into the questions that are asked of the soul. Now there are different versions as to which questions, how many questions, what do they actually mean. Today I'll provide 6 famous questions that the Talmud says the soul is asked. Now of course the Talmud did not just provide this information because it's interesting or fascinating. It wanted us to understand what is asked in the next world to ensure that we can try and live our lives in a more productive, a more meaningful way, that we'll examine our actions, that we'll improve in our ways on a day-to-day basis by understanding what is asked in the next world. So question number 1, were we honest and did we have integrity in our business dealings? Literally, were we honest? Did we lie? Did we cheat? If you went to Kohl's and you paid something for $50 and the cashier gave you back $100, did you speak up and say, hold on, you've overpaid me? Or did you lie and you say, well, who cares, I've now gained? But also it's asking, were we givers or takers? Did we live our lives trying to assist others, or do we live our lives always taking what's in it for me? Question number 2, did we set up fixed times for the study of Torah? Now, as Jews, Torah is our fresh air. It's our air, what we breathe. We need it to be able to exist and to continue living. But the Talmud is asking us, saying we need to also ensure that we have set times, just like you might have set times to go to the gym and for other things which are important. To demonstrate our importance of Torah, it needs to be set times. Today we have a luxury of so many things out there to assist us in studying and learning Torah that we should have a fixed time. It was also asking in a deeper sense, did we live our lives in a structured and organized way, or were we sort of careless and just whatever we did and achieved, we achieved, but not having that structure? And the Talmud says we need to have structure. The third question is, did we ensure that we try to bring children into this world? Did we busy ourselves with the mitzvah of bringing children into this world? Now, of course, not everybody is fortunate to be able to have children. So what the Talmud is really asking us, did we focus only on our lives and for right here and right now, our generation, our lifetime, or were we thinking about how can we improve the next generation's lives? How can we try and improve somebody else's life? Or we only focused on what's here and now? And of course, we need to be thinking about how can we make the lives of the next generation better. The fourth question is, did we anticipate the coming of the Moshiach? Did we anxiously await it? Did we cry out for it? Did we say, Hashem, we want Moshiach now? Or did we just say, well, my life's okay, and so therefore I'll just continue living my life as it is? Now, what the Talmud was also suggesting with this question was that the times of Moshiach represent a peaceful world, a world of harmony where people get along. And so therefore, not just anticipating the Moshiach, but saying, did you live your life to try and make your world, your small environment, your home, your community, a Moshiach type of environment? Did you try and resolve conflict? Did you try and be nice to others and bring harmony to the small world around you? The fifth question is, did we pursue wisdom? Meaning, did we try and understand things better? Did we try and ask good questions? Or did we just sort of have meaningless pursuits and sort of just waste our time? Or did we try and increase our understanding of the world around us, to try and appreciate the world around us? That's a very fundamental question to ensuring that we're continuously trying to be better people. And the sixth and final question is, did we have the fear of heaven? Now we can look at this in 2 ways. Fear of heaven means, do we understand that God is watching us? Do we live our lives to appreciate there's almost like this big brother camera watching us? And that would in a sense help us that when we wanted to do something wrong or to do something nasty, hold on, Hashem is watching us. But also the fear of heaven can look at a different way. It means being grateful. Fear of heaven means respecting heaven, appreciating what God has given us. Do we live our lives appreciating things or taking things for granted? And hopefully we can answer that we've taken things in a very grateful way, that we appreciate everything that Hashem has given us. So these 6 questions that we are asked in the next world, hopefully will guide us in this world. And when that time comes, may it be only when we're 120 years old, we can answer in the affirmative, yes, we answer these all in a positive and in a very convincing way, and hopefully we'll be granted passage to the Garden of Eden. Wishing you and yours a wonderful day, and please God join us again for Q&A of the day. Mazeltov! Welcome to Q&A for the day. Today's question is in fact about this particular statement, Mazeltov, one which we're all familiar with, one which is on greeting cards. We use it when we attend simchas, when we wish somebody who just had a celebration, we say Mazeltov. But the question is, what does it mean? Now, unfortunately, the English translation of good luck is not exactly correct. Because Jews, we don't believe in luck per se. We believe that God has divine providence over this world. Everything that happens is for a reason. We don't always understand the reasons, but God certainly does. And in a way, it could be a little bit offensive at times. You tell somebody who's getting married, good luck, and the person might say, you think I need luck? I'm marrying this other person, you think I need luck? Or somebody just had a baby, good luck. Oh my gosh, do I need luck? So, in fact, let's understand, what does it mean, Mazeltov, according to the Jewish tradition. Now, there are a number of reasons, number of understandings, and certainly today I'll just provide 3 of them to hopefully give you a better appreciation of this statement, Mazeltov, when you do hopefully use it next time. So firstly, Mazal means astrology. Each month, according to Jewish tradition, has a corresponding energy based on the Jewish holidays. In fact, every single day, every single moment has this power of energy. And so we wish somebody Mazeltov, we're saying we wish this person should have all the blessings that that moment in time can bring them. Everything should line up well in a propitious manner as they lead into this particular simcha. And at the simcha itself, we say, Mazeltov, may you get the energy that has come from this moment in time. The second reason is, Mazal, in fact, in Hebrew, comes from the word nozel, which means to flow. So we're wishing the person, Mazal Tov, may all that is happening now during your simcha and in the lead up, it should all flow very smoothly. It should all go in a nice and calm manner. Of course, as we know, there's lots of stress often before simcha, so we say, Mazel Tov, it should all flow in a nice and beautiful way. The third and final reason is based on a more mystical and Kabbalistic idea. Mazal refers to the root of our souls, our neshama. In fact, only a small ray of our soul inhabits our actual body. The rest is almost above us, beyond us. It's sort of surrounding us. Now, you might feel there's certain times where you feel this intuition, this inspiration, and it often happens at a time of celebration where you sort of see beyond what you normally see. Because of the great magnitude of the simcha, what's happening to you, you almost have now an appreciation of life which you didn't have before. This inspiration often comes from the part of the soul which is not enclosed in our body. And so we wish Mazel Tov, we're saying to the person, we want this energy that you've received now, this inspiration, this new way of looking at things, to continue through your life. It shouldn't dissipate once the simcha ends. So we say, Mazel Tov, may you get inspiration from the part of your soul which is beyond you. And hopefully you'll continue to get more and more blessings and receive more and more. And of course, live your life from a high conscious level, high point of understanding and appreciating the world around you. So please God, we can all say Mazel Tov to each other. We can all wish each other this beautiful blessing, that one, we should get the most energy from the moment we're in. It should flow smoothly. And of course, we should get the inspiration from our highest selves and continue to live in a high conscious level, and of course in a much more grateful and life of appreciation. Have a wonderful day, and join us again for Q&A of the day. Welcome to Q&A for the day. Today's question is, what does the word Jewish mean? Why do we refer to the Jewish people as Jews? What is the significance and meaning behind this name or title? Now, a funny story. A number of years ago, I was visiting Israel on a birthright mission, and I recall that one of the lecturers said something quite funny. He said, when you ask a Christian student, what faith are you part of? They'll say, proudly Christian. When you ask a Muslim, they'll say, proudly Muslim. But when you ask a Jew, what faith are you? They'll say, Jew-ish. I thought that was quite hilarious. But in all seriousness, Yaakov, Jacob, our forefather, of course, was the father of the 12 tribes. One of his sons, Yehuda, was one of the tribes. And of course, from Yehuda came the lineage of King David, and of course, the lineage of Moshiach. But when Sancheriv exiled the Jewish people, and 10 of the tribes were lost, and the kingdom of Israel was destroyed, one of the remaining tribes was the tribe of Yehuda. Now, of course, the name Yehuda and the term Yehudi came to refer to all Israelites at the time, regardless of their tribal ancestry. Because the name Yehuda, again, eventually evolved into the word Yehudi, which is why we say Jewish. In the book of Esther, in Megillat Esther, in the story of Purim, of course, we also refer to Mordechai HaYehudi, Mordechai the Jew. But what does it mean to be Yehudi? Why do we say we take the name from Yehuda? So here there's two meanings. The first is Yehuda shares the same root as the word Hoda'ah, which means acknowledgement or submission. One who acknowledges God's existence and submits to God's authority to the extent that we're willing to sacrifice our lives to sanctify God's name. That is what it means to be Yehudi, to be Jewish. But also the word Yehuda comes from the word Hoda'ah, which also means thanksgiving. Todah. We say Todah, thank you. And what we're saying is, as a Jew, we need to live our lives in a way of being grateful, to be thankful for everything we've got. So being called a Jew is not just about being part of the tribe of Yehuda and based on that historic association, but it's also driving us to do things, to number one, recognize our Creator, as Avram Avinu, Abraham first did. He was the first Yehudi, he was the first Jew, and of course Mordechai Yehudi recognized God's rulership, and of course being grateful and thankful and living our lives in a way that we acknowledge and we thank those around us, and of course we thank the Creator of the world for giving us life and giving us everything we do. Thank you for joining us, and join me again for Q&A for the day. Welcome to Q&A for the day. The Talmud tells us that there was no greater day of joy in the Jewish calendar than the days of Tu B'Av, the 15th day of the month of Av, and Yom Kippur. We won't discuss the Yom Kippur aspect today, but the Talmud tells us what was so great about this 15th day of Av and lists a number of reasons and events that occurred in Jewish history which gave it its significance. But one of the more famous things that occurred on that day as a result of some of these incredible things that happened was it became known as a day where lots of shidduchim, lots of matchmaking occurred. A lot of the young women and men would come down to the field and they'd be set up with a partner and of course now find their soulmate. Now this question of soulmate, which is of course relevant to this day of Tu B'Av, a lot of people ask me, Rabbi, what does it mean that we are soulmates? What does it mean that we are now sort of two halves becoming one? And more importantly, how can this assist me in my marriage? So what I'd like to share with you today is 4 ideas that perhaps having this perspective of the other person in your life, the other significant person in your life, your partner, your spouse, understanding that they're soulmates, I think can give us some tips to trying to understand how we can have a more harmonious relationship. Now, of course, relationships are challenging. They are hard work. They continuously need your effort. And at times when things are more challenging, you might need to go to see somebody, a third party, a therapist, a counselor, and so on. But today, as I said, I'll share 4 ideas that I think can be helpful when you change your perspective to seeing the other person as your soulmate. Number 1, of course, when you're married, and there are going to be times where it's going to be challenging, where you might argue with your spouse. But I'd like you to ask yourself the following question, perhaps when things are a little bit calmer. And that is, ask yourself, at this moment, am I seeing this other person as my teammate, as my spouse, as my partner, or as my enemy? And of course, if you understand this person is part of yourself, it will give you a whole different perspective when it comes to the next time where you might feel you want to have an argument. Step number 2, or tip number 2, remember that ultimately, if you cause your partner pain, emotional pain, whether you cause them, to go through some difficult times, that pain will ultimately be shared by the both of you. Some of the great sages of our time, some of the great rabbis and rebbitzins, there's stories where they would literally feel each other's pain. They would go to the doctor and they would say, our leg hurts. His pain was her pain and her pain was his pain. When you start to understand that we're part of the same soul, it will give you a different perspective. Tip number 3, start looking at the relationship in terms of, as a minimum, that we have an equal need in this relationship, equal importance in the relationship, and if you can go even a step further to ask yourself, how can I take the other person's needs into consideration beyond my needs when it comes to making decisions, when it comes to thinking about what is important in this relationship? When you look at the other person and say, how can I make their life better? It will change the whole way in which you view a relationship, and again, by understanding soulmates. Now, the 4th tip is really relevant to anyone who is married, and of course, those who are dating and looking to get married. And that is, when you are dating or single, and of course when you're married, ask yourself, am I looking for somebody to fulfill my needs? Is it about me feeling good? Or am I looking for somebody that I can give to and help grow with as well? Now that doesn't mean we shouldn't be selfish at times when we're looking for a partner to understand what is important to me, what are the values that are important to me, are we attracted to each other? Those are of course crucial. But it's switching your thinking to start to understand that the person I want to spend the rest of my life with is somebody that I'm prepared to forgo my immediate needs for the long-term needs of somebody else. That will certainly help put you on the right footing when it comes to your relationship. So with Tu B'Av, this great day of joy, let's think about our significant relationships. Let's think about our spouse and understand that if we start to change our thinking and understand the other person as a soulmate, as described in some of those points, hopefully our relationship will be much more harmonious, much more enjoyable, and please God, we'll live these 120 with a happy and healthy relationship. Have a wonderful day and join me again for Q&A of the day.